From a logging truck in Mississippi that couldn't make this tight turn, and an overloaded flatbed in Afghanistan that was doomed from the get-go, to a shipping container fail that nearly crushed these port workers, and much more. Here are some seriously dangerous worker mistakes caught on camera. Shipping ports rely on a handful of machines to keep the day-to-day running. One of those machines is called a reach stacker. It's like a crane forklift hybrid that can stack containers vertically and multiple rows deep. Think of it as like a fishing pole for 4,000-pound containers. On March 10th of 2019, a reach stacker operator had the simple task of removing a container from the top row. Now this should have been easy, as they didn't have to reach over any other containers to grab it. This time, our operator has no problem locking onto the container. His problems arise when he goes to move it. It looks like the right end of the container comes off first. It throws off his weight distribution, causing the reach stacker to become top-heavy. It collapses sideways, leaving the container standing straight up. Now up close, you can see how big of an accident this was. Luckily, the driver could escape the cab and flee the scene before anything else fell. He's just lucky his blunder didn't trigger a catastrophic domino effect. Prachuap Khiri Khan is a thin Thai province in the northern part of the Malay Peninsula. It sits about 150 miles south of Bangkok and is home to roughly 548,000 people. On January 5th of 2023, some blue-collar workers were emptying a half-ton water tank onto a pile of debris. All they had to do was put the tank back on the truck. Apparently, that was the hardest part. The water tank isn't connected to the truck. It's hanging from the metal awning looming over both men. The younger worker closes the nozzle while the older man gets in the truck. He starts backing up toward the younger worker. You can see where the rails below the tank are supposed to align with the truck bed. Now things go well at first, but then something gets snagged. The tank turns and the younger worker tries to see what's wrong. Then, tragedy. The awning topples, causing the half-ton tank to fall on our worker. Luckily, he scrambles out of the way and avoids any severe injuries. The awning may have nicked his shoulder, but the situation could have been much worse. According to his co-workers, he needed stitches at the hospital for a cut on his leg. He demanded that the older driver pay to cover his medical bills. Thousands of shipping containers travel around the world on any given day. These 20-foot boxes are why you have coffee every morning, or new tires, or the latest smartphone. They make the world go round. So, when accidents happen, they can be a massive headache. On June 27th of 2020, workers were going about their business at an African port when one of them made an egregious mistake. All he had to do was move the container from point A to point B. Let's see how he manages to mess this up. Now, the machine you see coming down is called a spreader. It has a locking mechanism that's supposed to attach to all four corners of a container. From there, the crane operator can move the container wherever it needs to go. It's a little touch and go at first. Getting these things in place probably isn't the easiest job. The operator eventually gets it on, and the locking arms come up. Unfortunately, they only locked onto the back end. Nobody sees the container lifting improperly. Not even the guy standing right there. Luckily, he does notice and runs away before the container falls. The truck driver backs up and narrowly avoids a violent crash. Had he not moved, the container would have crushed the cab. It's unclear what caused this accident. We're not sure if it was the crane operator's fault or if there was something wrong with the spreader. Louisville, Mississippi is a small city in Winston County. It's home to about 6,600 people and a truck driver who decided to push his rig's limits. It was September 9th of 2020. A local man was driving through town when he noticed a logging truck trying to make a tight turn. Unfortunately, one of the rear tires got stuck, and it was all downhill from there. Google Maps helps paint a picture of what may have happened that day. It looks like the truck was pulling out of a body shop and trying to head west on West Main Street. The turn, however, was a little too sharp. We're thinking they missed the turn and used the body shop's parking lot to turn around. But when one of the fires got stuck next to the fire hydrant, the weight of his logs shifted. At that point, there was no chance of recovery. No matter how hard the driver tried, he'd never wiggle himself out of this mess. Everything spilled onto the road, and our cameraman had to find another way home. Modern machines do amazing things, but even they have their limits. For example, a flatbed truck can only carry so much weight. Pile too much too high, and you're looking at a multi-thousand-pound machine on the verge of tipping over. These workers in Afghanistan learned that lesson the hard way. They loaded the flatbed of this semi-truck with too many cement bags. They were doomed the moment our driver started their engine. We're not totally sure if those bags were of cement or something else, but judging by the amount of stress they put on the truck, it's safe to say they weren't full of feathers or cotton. It seemed like everybody knew this was a bad idea. Just look at the back of the truck before it tips over. You can see where the wheels are pressing into the ground. It looks like they even have a flat tire. Maybe they'll make 2 trips next time instead of cramming everything into one. A typical 20-foot shipping container weighs between 3,900 and 4,800 pounds, depending on how tall it is, and that's assuming it's empty. With so many of these moving around ports every day, it's amazing that we don't hear more about accidents like this one. On January 1st of 2016, a group of port workers watched anxiously as a crane operator tried to place a new container on a rickety stack. You can see where one of the containers is sticking out like a Jenga block. Maybe they should have put this one down and fixed the tower. We can assume this container was empty based on the sound it makes. Still, that's nearly 5,000 pounds of metal falling close to 60 feet. Luckily, everyone got out of the way and could laugh about it. It's unclear where this accident happened. It's also unclear why these guys were standing so close. Even if they had the best crane operator in the world, they should have never been standing so close to the stack. Remember playing The Floor is Lava as a kid? You'd hop between furniture, trying desperately not to touch any part of the rug or wood floor. Well, these factory workers played a real-life game of The Floor is Lava when one of them made a disastrous mistake. It was April 15th of 2021. What began as a normal day in this warehouse turned into a life-or-death situation when an out-of-control crane smashed into a vat of molten metal. Here comes our lava pot from the bottom right. A worker in the back takes off running when he sees something terrible is about to happen. Out of nowhere, a crane comes flying in and knocks the lava bucket over. Molten metal lights the ground on fire, and the screen quickly fills with smoke. It looks like our worker was able to run away in time. Hopefully, there was nobody else standing around when the floor became lava. It's unclear what kind of molten metal was in that bucket. If it was molten steel, we know the liquid was at least 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's actually hotter than lava, which can range from 1,300 to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the rocks inside. Maybe they should change the name of the game to The Floor is Molten Steel. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.